Hey everyone, welcome back to Matthew Sports Analysis, where we don't just watch sports, we analyze them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Matthew Sports Analysis. Today we're doing more weekly picks, and so far this season we're 32-16. Let's get started.
First up, we have a matchup between the Jaguars and the Bengals.
Joe Burrow and the Bengals overcame Pittsburgh last week, which was heavily supported by the offensive line, who allowed 0 sacks. Jacksonville, on the other hand, have lost 18 straight games. They aren't playing very well this year, but they were impressive against the Cardinals in the first half. Without the miraculous 109-yard kick six, I wouldn't be saying that. Unfortunately for Jaguars fans, they'll hit 19 straight losses against Cincy. 28-17, Bengals.
Next up, we have the Titans facing off against the New York Jets.
The Jets were shut out against Denver Week 3, and Zach Wilson's performance has been lackluster so far. And for Tennessee, after A.J. Brown went down to a hamstring injury and Julio Jones was sat late against Indianapolis, the receiving core that was once considered dangerous is now in question. Still, I think Tannehill and Derrick Henry get the job done in New York. Score, 27-10, Tennessee.
Up next, we have the Detroit Lions facing off against the Chicago Bears.
God, was that Bears game horrible. I'd like to cover the bases with last week's game in a separate video, but we'll cover it briefly with this one. Nagy and his offense is horrible. The defensive side of things has been outstanding to say the least, but with them being on the field majority of the time, it's hard to see much progress. Detroit came close to beating an impressive Ravens and 49er teams, proving that they've improved over the last year. Dan Campbell and the Lions seem to be on the right track here, and I really believe they have potential to pick up the win against Chicago. But right now, the Bears have to game plan accordingly and effectively, and I believe that they'll revive the offense. Fields picked up his first professional win this week in a close one. Score, 27-24, Bears.
Up next, we have the Indianapolis Colts facing off against the Miami Dolphins.
As Indianapolis collected their third loss of the year, many have begun to wonder about how Wentz and the offense is going to handle the rest of the season. Carson Wentz needs to be healthy in order to stop Jacoby Brissett and the Dolphins from rolling over them. Miami put up an impressive fight against Vegas, so I'd have to go with them here. Score, 23-19, Dolphins.
Up next, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Minnesota Vikings.
Cleveland's defense was unbelievably good against Chicago's terrible offensive line. Minnesota's O-line is a tougher matchup for the Browns, but it's tough to say that they won't keep the momentum going against them. If you're a Dalvin Cook owner in fantasy, let him sit this one out. It's not going to be pretty against this defense. This game will be a fun one, as both offenses should shine. The defenses will win this game, and Cleveland's is clearly the better choice here. 33-24, Browns.
Next up, we have the Washington football team facing off against the Atlanta Falcons.
Heineke has been leading the football team, exceeding all my expectations thus far. With an ugly game played against Buffalo last week, Washington is in need of a redemption game. Matt Ryan and the Falcons' offense hasn't been the greatest, but Cordero Patterson and Kyle Pitts looked good against the Giants. I'd expect Washington's defense to recover, topping the Falcons. Score, 27-17, Washington.
Next up, we have the Houston Texans facing the Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen is back for Buffalo as he cut through Washington's defense like a piece of a birthday cake. Buffalo looks like a lock against Houston, and as quarterback Davis Mills has little to no help, Houston's running back picks up the pace. Maybe they can expect this one to be close. I'm just kidding. No, this one will be a blowout. This one's going to be 33-10, Bills.
Next up is the New York Giants facing off against the New Orleans Saints.
New York football fans have a rough life. With Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton injured, it spells out disaster for the Giants. With New Orleans' defense and homecoming, I'd expect the Saints to win big. 28-13, Saints.
Up next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs facing off against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have had a rough couple weeks. Starting the season 2-1 doesn't quite sum up the rest of the season, however. This team will bounce back sooner rather than later and pick up the win against the Jalen Hurts-led Eagles, who are prone to mistakes in Week 3. 38-21, Chiefs this week.
Up next, we have the Panthers taking on the Cowboys.
Christian McCaffrey's injury strikes fear in the hearts of Panthers fans all over the country. And given the fact that Zeke and the rest of the Cowboys are going nuts right now, I'm going to play it safe and say Dallas is going to keep rolling and give Carolina their first loss of the season. Score, 24-17, Cowboys.
Next up is the Seahawks taking on the 49ers.
The Seahawks defense was non-existent against Minnesota, and the offense didn't do enough to pick up the slack. Players on the defensive side of things all knew a change had to be in the works, and they'll get a test against the 49ers. This one will be close, but I expect Seattle to win a close one here. 28-26 Seahawks.
Up next, we have the Arizona Cardinals facing off against the LA Rams.
Kyler Murray and the Cardinals had a rough first half, but made up for it in the second. With the 109-yard touchdown return from Jacksonville was nothing but a big sigh for the Cardinals. But it's something extremely correctable. They'll face a test in Week 4 against who I think is the best team in the league, and I think the Rams will make it close. But here's your shocker of the week. Ultimately, Arizona's defense comes up strong and shocks the Rams 21-20. Cardinals.
Up next is the Pittsburgh Steelers facing off against the Green Bay Packers.
The Steelers really missed TJ Watt last week against the Bengals, and it showed. I'll keep it short and sweet here. Green Bay isn't the same team at Cincinnati. Big Ben will struggle against this defense. 33-17 Packers.
Up next, we have the Baltimore Ravens facing off against the Denver Broncos.
The Broncos secondary looks really good, proving to be part of one of the best defenses in the league. The hopes in Denver is that Lamar Jackson will be contained, which seemed to look easy to Detroit last week. I'd assume that this one's similar to the Vegas and Baltimore Week 1 matchup, and the Ravens will come up short yet again. 28-23 Broncos.
Next up is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facing off against the New England Patriots.
Tom Brady's homecoming won't be fun to watch for Patriots fans. The Buccaneers got better this week by signing Richard Sherman, and if he plays, an already good defense will get even better. Mac Jones will play one of his most important games of his career this week, and I don't think he'll beat the greatest of all time. Tom Brady, although emotional, will come up strong against his former team, and won't shake Bill Belichick's hand at the end of it. 36-20 Buccaneers.
Lastly, we have the Raiders taking on the Chargers.
The Chargers looked good against the Chiefs this past week, and I think they'll come up big in a divisional matchup against Vegas. This one will be a fun one to watch for sure as Derek Carr continues to put up impressive numbers to keep Vegas in the game. I think the Chargers will win this one still. 28-17 Chargers.
For more weekly predictions as the season goes on, projections between specific players, and coverage between just about all sports, click the subscribe button. If you have any suggestions or ideas for me to cover on the channel, leave them in the comments below. Lastly, if you liked the video, tell me by clicking on the like button. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time.